What is up, guys?
Sup?
It is Melanie and Michael, or Michael and Melanie, M&M, whatever you prefer.
Whatever.
We are here and we wanted to show you we want to tell you how to make a budget and how simple it really is. Everybody overcomplicates how to make a budget.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's very intimidating and it's something that they feel that they really should do, but they never actually do it. But we want to bust that myth that budgeting has to be complex.
Right.
And in fact, when you learn how to budget, it's actually really fun. Like, I'm not a math person, guys. Like, I'm not. That's why I married him. I don't even count my own money in Monopoly, guys. That was like part of our marriage vows.
Yeah.
So this is just to say, like, I don't like math or anything, but I actually really have fun when we sit down and do our budgeting because it's truly a roadmap to your dreams. And we want to kind of just break that down and tell you just how simple it can be.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, in terms of just breaking it down to simple terms, you know, if we were to define, like, what is a budget? Because there's a lot of different ideas of what it means, but really, if you just want to break it down, it's just a pure picture of looking at what do you make, what are you spending, okay? And then looking at what you're spending, where are you spending it, and what are you spending it on? And then ultimately, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
That's the crux of what a budget is.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
So what do you make? What do you spend? What are you spending it on? And are you happy with that?
Right.
And
Exactly.
if you're not happy with it, then you change it.
Exactly.
Your budget works for you, you don't work for your budget.
Exactly.
And I think that's the common misconception, is that you have to somehow structure this super responsible budget to save money and put things away for retirement and not have any fun now so that you can have fun when you're 60. And I just think life is far too short and your 20s and 30s are far too precious to spend it hating your life.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, one thing that I found really important for a budget, and I mean, a lot of us think, oh, I kind of know what I spend my money on, or, you know, I have, you know, money set aside for this, and you have like a general idea. That's not a budget. And, you know, some people may fight me on this, but a budget isn't a budget unless you know where every dollar is going. If you can't tell me where every dollar is being spent, then your budget has holes in it, or you may not even have a budget at all. Because again, just like we've expressed before, if you don't budget every dollar, it will find a way to get spent, and money adds up. You know, we just did the simple math. If you drank a cup of Starbucks every work day, Monday through Friday, every week this year, I mean, that adds up to $1,300.
That's a vacation. Like, that's a fun vacation.
And I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's just $5. Oh, it's just $4 here for a soda. Oh, it's, you know, just $8
it's $1 here. It's $2 here.
Right.
And it adds up.
It adds up, and it sounds crazy in the moment, but when you really start putting that into, you know, perspective over time, it really, really does add up. And that's why it's really important when you're talking your budget that you're looking at every single dollar that you're spending. Because again, I'm not telling you you can't go to Starbucks. I think it's great, and if that's what you really enjoy doing, you should do that. Yeah. But you need to know that that's where it's going. You need to be okay with it. Otherwise, you're not doing it right.
Exactly. So anyway, it's actually really simple, and I know that keeping track of every single dollar can seem daunting, and it's just a habit you have to start. So it does take a little bit of discipline, but we believe in you. We have faith in you guys, and I lose everything, and I've managed to learn to save my receipts. So if I can do it, you guys can too. So,
and what's nice is, you know, with technology these days, if you're using debit, credit cards, you don't even need to save receipts. Yes. It keeps track of everything for you. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but a lot of people just hate the thought of trying to go through receipts. I mean, we stopped using receipts multiple years ago. So I mean,
myth busted. You don't have to save all your receipts.
No, you can if you want to, if you're crazy like that, or if you're using cash, then sorry, you're kind of out of luck. You have to save receipts in order to track where money goes. But if you're using a card, then you really don't need receipts to figure out where your money went. As long as, you know, you're reconciling and looking through what you're spending, then you'll be able to go back and, you know, pretty quickly see.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
Okay, so step one. What is the first step to creating a budget?
So if you don't have a budget, or you have a budget and you're trying to actually budget correctly, because you do truly want to start budgeting for your dreams and getting on the right track, the first thing you really just need to do is give yourself a knowledge check. and figure out, you know, where we started with the simple explanation of what are you making, what are you spending. And the easiest way I found to do that, if you have the information in front of you, go back and look at the last 3 months. Doesn't necessarily have to be 3 months, but 3 months is a good picture of where you're at, and look at what you've spent. Look at what you've made.
What you've spent, your expenses, right?
Correct. And then also what you made, you want to look at your net pay. It's important, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I make $30,000. Well, after taxes, you're not making $30,000. So you want to know what you're bringing in net, because that's what you can actually use towards your budget, because the other part of your money you're not seeing actually come anyway. So it's fruitless to try to budget around money that you're not actually seeing. Yeah. But anyway.
And then also a kind of a tip too is make sure that you guys are checking your paycheck stubs. Like most people don't check their paycheck stubs. I was one of them until I married him, and now I don't have to because he does. But make sure you check that, because sometimes who you work for, sometimes they'll make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Like they might take out too much money, or they might charge you twice for your insurance. So make sure to actually be checking your paycheck stubs. It just takes a minute, and then you can make sure that you're actually getting what you've been promised to make.
Yeah, exactly. It takes 30 seconds, but a lot of people just neglect to do it because we just think, oh,
just get busy.
I mean, but you have to remember, in anything, I mean, it's humans on the other end that are handling that kind of stuff, and people make mistakes. You make mistakes, then people that handle your paychecks, unfortunately, they make mistakes too. So.
But yeah, so quick tip. But you can also look, I brought that up because you can look at your paycheck stub, obviously, to know exactly what you're making, and it'll actually break it down for you, what your gross pay was, what's being taken out of it, and what your net pay is. Yeah. So you need to know what your net pay is for the entire month. Yeah,
we're moving on. Again, starting from scratch, trying to build a budget. Best thing to do if you're trying to start right now, you know, especially being the new year, yay, New Year's resolutions, trying to get better with your money. Look back at what you spent in the last 3 months and use that as a baseline to figure out, okay, like if I had been budgeting, this is where all the buckets went. You know, I spent this much money on food, and I spent this much money on utilities, and I spent this much money going out to eat, and I spent this much money on Amazon buying random crap I didn't need. Like, understanding where all your money went is a big eye-opening process, and a lot of people are quite shocked if they've never budgeted before. You think you know where all that money is going, but when you actually break it down dollar by dollar and say, okay, this is how much money I pulled in, this is how much money went out the door, and then when you look at where it went, it's a big eye-opening process, and that's the first place you need to go, because going forward, you're going to be doing that, but just not retroactively. You're going to be doing it as it happens. And that's what a budget is saying, okay, I'm expecting to spend money here, and then actually allocating it when you spend it. So first step, again, just to reiterate, is if you have the information in front of you, go back the last 3 months and write down what you've made, what you've spent, and then the next point is looking at that and analyzing, are you okay with what you just did? Again, it doesn't...
Are you proud of that?
Yeah.
Like if you had to show that to like your accountant or your mom or your grandma, like, are you okay with that?
Or even to yourself. I mean, look at yourself in the mirror. Like if you look back and say, oh, flip, I spent $600 going out to eat last month. Like, I can't do that anymore. Or I mean, maybe you're okay with that. Again, it all comes down to the whole point of budgeting isn't me telling you what you should spend your money on, because what I want to spend my money on is different than what you want to do, is different than what she wants to do. The whole point of it is giving yourself the knowledge that you need in order to spend the money where you want to actually spend it, and you need to have the knowledge to do that. So that's why first step is really important. Give yourself that knowledge check and see where all your money is gone. If you don't have, like if you use cash, you don't use cards, then you're gonna have to start from scratch, unfortunately, and go forward and just start tracking it that way. And you know, give yourself a break. You don't have to get your budget perfect right away. We've been budgeting for 6 years now, and we
tweak it every month.
We still tweak it, yeah, and that's the whole point here. But anyway, you need to get a good picture of what you're actually spending, and then you know, obviously breaking it down to every dollar, not just I kind of spent this much money here and I don't know where the rest of it went. You got to be able to break it down to every dollar. And then once you actually have a bigger picture and you go into that analysis stage, that's when you can really start making your budget. So if you spent $500 going out to eat, but that's not really that important to you, you just did it because you didn't realize how much money you were spending, then when you go to actually make your budget, you allocate how much money you want to be spending there and free up that money for something else.
And then you stick to it.
Exactly.
But we'll have more videos about actually tracking your budget and everything. Moving forward, we could talk about this for hours if we went into all the nitty-gritty detail, but we're not gonna bore you with that. So make sure you guys subscribe to this channel and let us know what questions you guys have about budgeting or just about finance or anything you guys have questions about, because we've been doing this for a while now. And we've had our fair share of bumps along the way. But we really want to share with you guys what we've done, what's worked, what hasn't, and hopefully spare you guys some of the pain that we've experienced through the process.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know, wise man once said, you know, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So maybe you're here and you're like, wow, I've never budgeted my money and it's too hard to like go back now. It's like, no. I mean, yes, maybe you've made some choices with your money that you're not proud of, but there's no reason to kick yourself for it. You know, you can, going forward, you can actually make the best of your life, the most of what you want to do, and the best way to do that, especially, you know, in America or even wherever you're watching this, I mean, money is a really important fact of life, but it doesn't have to be the most stressful part of life, and it doesn't have to be a stressful part of your relationship. And that's really what we're trying to help you guys do here is we've found, you know, through having effective communication through money, through budgeting, we've been able to have more fun in our relationship and avoid a lot of really annoying arguments that are very fruitless because we're on the same page with a lot of the things that we do. So if we can help share that knowledge with you guys, then, you know, that's what we want to do.
Go team.
Go team.
Anyway, we love you guys. Hope you have a great day. Bye.
Peace.